They're over in Babylon. Now, the Persians, they were different from how the Babylonians. Now, the Babylonians, they just treated you really bad. Like, you woke up, you knew you was a slave. You went to sleep, you knew you was a slave. They treated you like dirt. The Persians, they had a different way of thinking. They said, all right, all we want is peace in our empire. So we're not going to, beat you down so you want to get mad and fight against us, rebel against us. Why can't we all just get along? So they said, all right, what we're going to do, we're going to let you go back home to Jerusalem. We're going to let you build a temple so you guys can be happy, so that we've done a favor for you. Hopefully you'll do a favor for us. It'll be peace in our empire. Plus, they were thinking strategically. They had the Egyptians on the border of the Israelites where they were going to Jerusalem, and that was the enemy of Persia. So if the Egyptians came over, the Persians were hoping that the Israelites would not join with the Egyptians and fight against the Persians, but that they would actually fight with the Persians. So that's the context. Now, in Ezra chapter 3, the people come back to Jerusalem. It says, despite their fear of the peoples around them, they built the altar on its foundation and sacrificed. Now, right here, it is clear that the Israelites were afraid, but they chose to keep on keeping on. They weren't going to just give up. Now, courage is not a lack of fear. It is the will to act in spite of fear. And in verse 8, it says, in the second month of the second year after their arrival at the temple of God in Jerusalem, Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, and Jeshua, son of Jehozadak, in company with their brothers, priests, and Levites, and everyone else who had come back to Jerusalem from captivity, got started. Right here, this is where they started to rebuild the temple. Now, I want you to imagine, Jerusalem is your home, okay? The Babylonians, your enemy. God gave you over to your enemy because you wouldn't listen to him. They come and destroy your home. They burn it to the ground. A lot of the Israelites didn't come back to Jerusalem. They preferred to stay in Babylon. They were comfortable. But you're coming back home, and your home is in ruins, and then you come over there, it's other people living in the land. It's a hostile environment. You know what I mean? You looking at it like, yo, it's nothing good over here. You know what I mean? Like, we got a lot of work to do. But it says, two people stick out right here. Jeshua and Zerubbabel, they got started. And because of those two, they were kind of the leaders. They got the rest of the few Israelites to get started too. And then they sung a song and celebrated the start of building the temple. But then the enemies of the Israelites, they came against the Israelites, spreading words, spreading rumors, and they tried to beat down the morale of the Israelites. And so the Israelites, at this point, they stopped building the temple because of their enemies. So right here, this was when they came back and they stopped building the temple. But between 4 and 5, the Israelites, they kind of just settled. Like, have you ever been in a situation where it was a bad situation and you just kind of settled? You didn't think it could get any better? Like, it's woe is me. It ain't ever going to be any better. You know what I mean? That's what happened to the Israelites. Because of the fact that they had to stop building, then they got the mindset that it wasn't ever going to get better. And so they didn't want to change. So in in chapter 5, God sent the prophets Haggai and Zechariah to the Jews who preached to them. They were encouraging them, you know what I mean? Don't give up. You know, like we can do this. Yeah, it's in ruins and stuff, but you have an opportunity to build a temple to God. And if you think about it, David, he saw that he had a palace, but his God didn't have a home. And David, he wanted to do something for God. He wanted to build a temple for God, a place where God could dwell. So David, the Lord revealed to David all these details. But God told David, because you have shed blood, you're not going to be the one to build a temple for me. Your son Solomon is going to build the temple. And now when they built the temple, they wanted to, like, describe the God who is greater than anything, bigger than our imaginations. So the first temple, it had gold in it, diamonds, every single jewel you could think of, because they wanted it to describe God. You know what I mean? Only the best stuff was going to be in the temple. But that temple was destroyed because of the sins of the Israelites. And now they had an opportunity to rebuild a second temple. And the prophets Haggai and Zechariah, they come along and encourage the people, you know what I mean? Like, why are you living in luxurious homes, but God's house is in ruins? You know what I mean? There's something wrong with that. And so, because of the encouragement and the preaching of Haggai and Zechariah, Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, and Jeshua, son of Jehozadak, started again, rebuilding the temple of God in Jerusalem. And the prophets were right there helping them. But then in verse 3, the enemies come along again, and they try to discourage them. They say, who issued you a permit to rebuild this temple and restore it to use? Have you ever, like, wanted to do something right, and right when you try to do something good, somebody got to come along and try to just shut you down? Like, this is exactly what happened. The people, they had settled. They had given up. But yet God sent the prophets Haggai and Zechariah to them to encourage them. Everything is not over. You know what I mean? It's not over. And now the people were just now getting ready to start doing something good. They wanted to do something, and the enemies of the Israelites come right there to try to discourage them. I know we have all been there before, you know, and my title is Don't Give Up, It's Time to Rise Up, because I feel that, you know, sometimes we just feel like giving up, you know, but God always, he sends somebody your way, you know what I mean? Maybe you'll read a book or something that'll just encourage you, you know what I mean? But even though the enemies rose against the Israelites, verse 5 says, but God had his eyes on the leaders of the Jews, and the work wasn't stopped until a report could reach Darius, not Sirius anymore, it's Darius, an official reply be returned. So that just says that, that talks about God's providence. Now I wanted to show a video clip that basically explains, hold on. This will hopefully be to us what Haggai and Zechariah were to the Israelites. Is yours working? Oh, I don't got it hooked up. Crap. The sound. Sorry. Well, can y'all hear that? I really can't hear it. Huh? Hold on. I got it. This is the sound. What? Just act it out with no sound? All right, this, y'all see the video? All right, what happened was, I know a lot of y'all probably seen this movie, but this guy, he had given up before they even were going to fight this team. And the coach he says, you know, don't give up. And he says, you got to promise me you won't give up. He says, all right, I promise. And he says, all right, but I'm going to make you do the death crawl blindfolded. And he wants him to go to the 50-yard line. And he's trying to tell the guy, you know, like, you can do it as long as you don't give up. But if you give up before you even try, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing to that. So he was trying to encourage his player not to give up before you even start. Yeah, it's not working. Dang. Sorry.
What's that mean?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's all right. Oh, well.
All right. But,